I've got resistance bands for some very short drill work. And I've got my longer swim cords for the full stroke effect. So if you don't have all of this, not the end of the world. This is sort of probably the most important bit. If you don't have the dumbbells, if you don't have the resistance cords, what we're going to do is just keep in this switching between endurance and technical work. We're going to just break the stroke into a couple of component parts so we can actually work on our technique. But you don't really need these. You can actually do the movements without. Okay, so first movement. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the YouTube videos I sent, but it was a very simple drill, call it the thumbcatch, and it's just isolating and working the first part of the stroke. Thinking about pulling from fingertips to elbow, and I'm just setting that blade position, turning the fingertips, the knuckles over, so that the forearm, obviously I'm in a vertical position. Imagine I was swimming and I was horizontal. I'm trying to turn that over. I'm trying to make that hand pull horizontal as early as possible. Okay, so you can do that standing up. It's so much easier standing up, even if you've got your stretch cords set in a horizontal position. Let's just do this one standing up, whether you've got cords or not. 1 minute of this, please, and we begin. 1 minute. Are we ready? So just isolate the first part of the stroke. Here we go. Fantastic. Good. So we're always pulling palm, hand, and never forgetting to pull with the forearm. So we pop the elbows out wide, turn the elbows out, bring the hands in central, nice and gentle. There's no point rushing this part of the stroke, because all we're doing is setting up the position and then getting ready to apply the power. Okay, so this part is never propulsive. It is never, it's a waste to apply too much effort here. Okay, so I want you to think this through, keep it in mind, and then take this movement into the next position. All right, grab your long cords, and here we go. 3 minutes of full stroke front crawl. 3 minutes of full stroke front crawl, whether you're vertical or horizontal. Take that early vertical forearm position into your full stroke now. Hopefully the resistance cords aren't too heavy, because we are going to be aiming for half an hour of this, please. Okay, bring the shoulder up, rotate the upper body, keep the head nice and still. Those are just some good basic fundamentals of full stroke front crawl. Elbow pops out wide. Keep the hand pulling central. I'm a big believer in using your technique to keep you swimming straight, rather than excessive lifting of the head to side, looking where you're going. Look at the same angles at the elbow, the same movement, the same speed. Everything's working. The symmetry's there. Left, right. Good stuff. Just over a minute done. 2 minutes to go on this next segment. Try to reach down. Don't just finish at the hips, with a good rotation through the hips. And that's why I like to mount the stretch cords vertically. I can actually get, you can't see it, but I can actually get the hips involved. Horizontal, it's not impossible, but it's a little bit harder. And keep reaching for the knees, reaching for the knees. Push all the way through, finish out the back of the stroke. Good work, everyone. Don't worry about turning the head to breathe for the moment. We'll talk about that on the next circuit. So basically it is a 10-minute circuit. If you did watch the YouTube clip, you might know what's coming next. Hopefully you have a chance to look at the single arm video. But we're just combining technical work with some endurance, okay? 1 minute to go on this full stroke element, please. 1 minute to go. Good work. Keep breathing. Keep pulling with the forearm by popping the elbow out wide. We're in a horizontal position, which is all good, Most people are horizontal, but just try to get a little bit of hip wriggling so you've got the extension, the shoulders coming through. Don't worry too much about, we're going to do some surface recovery later. We're going to do some surface recovery later. For this sort of the bulk of this hard bit of work, just keep the arms pulling under the body. So you get that movement. And don't worry, if like me, I'm in pretty confined space, it's very hard to get the surface recovery over the top. Okay, 3, 2, 1, release and let them go. Okay, single arm work. Here's your technical aspect. Fingertips pointing to the ceiling, the shoulders behind, my body's rotated. There's my catch position, and I'm going to pull through. You can add your tin of beans here if you want to, if you're familiar with this movement. I'm actually getting the recovery in now, and I'm switching my shoulder from side to side. Okay, we're going to go 1 minute on each arm, please. 1 minute on each arm. So fingertips to elbow, there's the catch. I'm holding the water, I'm bringing the shoulder through, I'm up on my side, my legs and hips will be helping generate that rotation, and I'm actually getting a nice surface recovery there. Good work. Keep the head still. If we were in the water, I would recommend that you kept the head still, focus on the stroke, head still, head still, head still. And when the arms stop moving, that is when you would take that breath. Okay, and ready in 3, 2, 1. Let's swap sides, please. Swap sides. This drill sort of surpassed the old version a long time ago. And if you imagine leaving both arms in front, can you see how that literally stunts your rotation and doesn't allow it just doesn't come close to what the full stroke is all about, which is switching from side to side to side. So that's why we leave that arm in the pocket, pull through, keep the head still, rotate. The shoulder should start high, the shoulder should finish low, the shoulder should finish high. Okay, good work, good work. Remember also, just because we're focused on this single arm, we're still trying to pull with that forearm and bring that into a horizontal position by the time it comes into the eye line. Last 10 seconds, everyone. Last 10 seconds. Few more, please. Few more. Okay, and then if you could pick up your beans or your dumbbells, whatever you might have. Okay, well, now we're going to introduce a little bit of recovery. Okay, very light, nothing. If you feel that they're too heavy, whatever you've picked up, it'd be better to go without. Little pivot at the waist, and now we are going to swim our full stroke front crawl. Or maybe you can see me better there. Okay, now we've got this surface recovery. We're going to go a couple of minutes of this, please. Okay, so much better. We don't sort of do the recovery during the stretch cord phase. And let's just isolate and work on it here, please. Nice high elbow. Now, the high elbow has been a classic front crawl technique for many years, especially in long distance front crawl. But it's not the only option. I have favored this. I think it works well. As you exit the water, you've got a chance to release and relax the muscles. Whereas if the arms are straight, they need to stay working a little bit hard for a little bit longer. There's obviously everything from the fingertips to the shoulder is involved. With the high elbow, I can actually relax. I can actually relax from the elbow down to the fingertips, and the shoulder's doing the work. If the water's a little bit bumpier, probably going to have to go a little bit over the top, a little bit rounder anyway. So be adaptable, be versatile. That's the key. You want to be able to sort of look at the environment, look at the conditions, and react to them. Okay? Keep it going, keep it going. I haven't mentioned anything about breathing yet. Let's just get nicely fluid into this position, get warmed up, and then on the next circuit, we will talk about the breathing, okay? And introduce that. If you want to, if you've got space, if you've got the room, maybe switch to some high straight arm work, okay? I'm going to take a clock off the wall here, so I'm being very careful. All right. In 3, 2, 1, we're coming out. Now, it's your choice, but if you've got the dumbbells, let's stick with this. Let's just go in with a very simple little tricep extension, okay? Just to isolate and work the back of the stroke, okay? You could do, if you're on the stairs or if you've got a bench available, you could do some seated dips. On the YouTube channel, we talked about a position called the swim plank, which involved a narrow press up. That also would be ideal, okay? Anything to work the back of the stroke deliberately. And I would also, if you've got this chance, Think about what's happening at the back of the wrist, okay? If you're pushing the water back, think about what the wrist is doing. You can actually add perhaps a little bit more propulsion, a little bit more movement forwards, rather than palm up, and that would sink the hips, okay? So that's just something else as a technical point to keep in mind. From here, push through and just get a little bit of a wrist movement in. Good, good, good. In 3, 2, 1, we're out of that cycle. Now, let's just go back to our rotation work. Just keep the head still. We call this the torpedo drill. If you're on a swim bench, if you're using your stretch cords for long periods of time, there's a good opportunity that you will lose your ability to rotate. So just let the hips flow and follow, keep the head still. This is one of those very difficult things. I mean, as an ex-swimmer, we take it for granted. But when you see adults sort of in the classroom on our little workshops and things, breaking that connection, people are very fixed. So this is very simple movement. Use the mirror maybe and just work on this, keeping the head still and rolling the body through, okay? I'm gonna progress this on the next circuit. So it's seeming pretty simple. It will get a little bit more useful, a little bit more clever as we go through. Fantastic, everyone. Okay. In 3, 2, 1, that's your first circuit done, 10 minutes, well done. Okay, back to our thumb catch position. If we can grab our resistance cords or the air, okay, might not be a bad idea to leave them off and just work on, keep the thumbs together, and that will help promote the symmetry, okay? Relax them back out in front. Thumbs together, fingertips roll over. Try to keep the elbow to fingertip in one straight alignment by the time you reach the eyes. And then you're setting a really good early vertical forearm position that you've possibly read about, heard about, okay? Good work, everyone, good work. Duncan, can you hear me? We've switched, we've switched. Good work, everyone. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go back to our cords. 3 minutes. Here's the hard work. Here's the hard work. This is where we don't want too much tension. We don't want too much resistance because we are working on our endurance. We need, you know, I don't see many triathlon events with distances shorter than 400 meters in the world of swimming. That's, you know, that's a middle distance event, okay? So triathlon, you know, you're racing 1500 meters and upwards, some big distances. It's all about repeating with great accuracy the same movement over and over again. Rotate the upper body, let the hips follow. If your stretch cords don't allow this sort of independent movement, you know, it's not the end of the world. You can still sort of do the doubles. Just work on keeping them symmetrical, keeping the hands under the body, pop the elbow out wide. Think about channeling the water backwards towards the feet so you move forwards in a nice straight line. The more balanced and symmetrical your stroke, not necessarily the faster you'll move, but it should help. Certainly the straighter you should swim. And that's kind of the easy answer, isn't it? When people ask, how do I get quicker in open water? How many of us can sort of say, well, just swim the race course distance? That would be a good start. On average, when I speak to our clients, about 4.2, 4.3 kilometers is the average for an Ironman, a waste of 400, 500 meters. That's a remarkable amount. If you could just use your stroke to keep you swimming straight, so much the better. The more your head lifts to sight, obviously, even with a wetsuit on, there's pressure, there's hip sinking. You've got to re-accelerate once the head goes down. A lot of stuttering through the stroke. Good, everyone, keep it going, keep it going. Remember to pull with the forearm, pulling with the forearm, pivoting from the elbow. Try to reach for the knees. Don't start exiting early at the hips. Fantastic. Coming up on halfway through this block, halfway through this block. Well, actually, maybe farther in than that, farther in than that. Good work. Just in case your arms are aching, but that is the point. Hold it. If you've got the, if you don't have a paddle on your, if you don't have a paddle and you have this sort of more traditional grip, you can still sort of roll the knuckles through and over, pretending you're getting into a position where you're pointing the fingertips down. Good work. We're nearly there, actually. 10 seconds to go. 10 seconds to go. In 3, 2, 1. Good, good, good. Let's go back to our single arm, please. Back to our single arm. We might want to add in a little breath here now. So we're standing up. Wherever you were with your quads, up or down, let's do this standing, please. Fingertips to elbow. There's that catch position. Hold the water. That gives me that anchoring effect that enables me to pull the shoulder through towards the chin, taking me from side to side, from side to side. Fingertips to elbow is the anchoring. Pull through, get a good purchase on the water. When we start high with the shoulder, it should finish low. Start high and finish low. Remember, once the arm stops moving, then I would take the breath. Keep the head still if the arm is in motion, and then take the breath. When you're in the water, you can take 1 or 2 breaths. You can just get your composure. There's no sort of regulation on that. Okay, hopefully carry on if I've just seen a little sign saying the internet's a bit unstable. Hopefully you can see me carry on. In 3, 2, 1, let's switch through to the other side. Okay, opposite arm, please, opposite arm. Carry on for 1 more minute. Single arm drill, single arm drill. Get your rotation done here. Good work, everyone, good work. Head nice and still, head still, head still, head still. Stop the arms, pause, get the breath in once, twice, and then we go again. In the water, we often see people rushing and pulling and getting the head and the movement, and it's so just keep it simple. Head still, let the body do its work, get the arm in motion, and then a separate, isolated breath in between. Here's your little technical aspect that reminds you when you go back. Hopefully we're in the water for not too long. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Last 10 seconds, everyone, 10 seconds. Good, good, good. Ready in 3, 2, 1. We're picking up our dumbbells. Surface recovery, little pivot at the waist. Get comfortable. And high elbow, straight arm, whichever is your preference, whichever is your technique. But now we are using those muscles around the shoulder to recover the arm above the surface. I was not boasting, but I was telling everyone I'd just keep it simple with a 1 kilo weight, and I've just picked mine up and noticed they're only a ½ kilo. So you can't have them too light, I think. If they're too heavy, you'll just suddenly start to feel the elbows getting lower and lower. You'll lose your rotation. And I think this is a good opportunity to get narrow, pierce through the water, small as you can. Because obviously it's all about reducing your drag. And the more of me that stays submerged, the more of me under the water as I'm swimming flat, the harder I have to work. So staying narrow, switching from side to side, side to side. Fantastic. 1 more minute of this one, please. 1 more minute, and then we'll progress our rotation drill. Good work, everyone. Good work. So I mentioned earlier about breathing. So what often happens when the arm's a little bit tired, and this would be a great opportunity to practice, try not to lean on a straight arm as you take that breath. We see that so much in the water, okay? Try not to lean and stabilize and come up for air. Even though you're turning to take a breath during this movement, keep the elbow pivoting. Turn the knuckles over. Get the forearm into a vertical position as early as you can, and try not to lean on that arm, get lazy with it. That's so important when you're swimming. You ready? In 3, 2, 1. Good stuff. Let's go into our little tricep focus. Turn it over. Tricep extensions, or narrow grip press ups, or some sort of tricep focus, whatever you've got. Keep it swimming specific. I would go with the tricep extension, body into a nice horizontal position, body horizontal. And I'm adding a little wrist movement to keep the water being pushed back rather than up. Okay. Good work. Halfway through this block, halfway through, 30 seconds to go. The swim plank is something we sort of just cobbled together that includes sort of a narrow grip press up, the plank position. It's on YouTube if you want to have a look. It's a great all-round body position that will tap into so much of the key swimming movements. Involves the glutes lifting the legs up, the strength in the shoulders and the triceps.
Dan, can you move back a bit? Because I've got difficulty seeing you. You're really low. Like the camera angle. The camera angle. I can't really see you on the floor.
I'm just doing a tricep extension.
Okay.
I'm in a very narrow stairwell. I haven't got much space.
Okay.
All right.
On the stairs.
Yeah.
Hi, Karen.
Hey.
Okay. Let's go back to our little sort of recovery movement. Start off with the head still again, rotating the upper body, shoulders coming through towards the chin. Get your breath back. Maybe use this time to get a drink in. We've got one more round to come. If you had a chance to look at the Dryland booklet that was sent out, you'll see a progression which is sort of known as drawing the sword. So from here, the hand is in the hip. Let me come forwards again and take that through and finish at the base of the neck. Okay, draw the sword round. You can hear me hitting the stairs right there, I think. Okay, and if you've got your dumbbells, this is great for strengthening the shoulders. Take it through one side and the other. Drawing the sword, shoulder comes through towards the chin. Good, good, good. Excellent. Okay, but that's in the Dryland booklet. Use that one. It's one of my favorite exercises. Okay. All right. The third round begins. The third round begins. Here's the come back to the thumb catch. We go back to this at the start because I want it to flow into the swim chords on the next round. Okay. Here we go. 1 minute of the thumb catch movement. I've gone back to my chords now, just for a little bit of tension, working nicely, trying to bring the forearm to horizontal before I get to the eyes. Okay. If your chords are horizontal, you should still be doing this. Release the chords, do it vertical. It's really good to just see what's happening. Get the forearm vertical before it reaches the eye line. Good work, everyone. Good work. Okay, last 10 seconds, and we're going to flow and take this movement into the full stroke. In 3, 2, 1. Good stuff. Okay, take the long chords. Take the long chords into your full stroke. Last round, last round. Good work, everyone. So get the hips involved. Don't start shortening the stroke. You'll see a lot of text in the internet regarding stroke rate, stroke length, stroke count, and sort of what the important thing is. I see a lot of people chasing the higher stroke rates of the elites, but if their stroke shortens, it doesn't really help. So you still want the length, you still want to speed things up when the time comes to swim that a little bit faster. But also it's great to keep the length. So I'm stretching through, I'm finishing the stroke with the shoulder coming into the chin, rotating through the hips, giving me that little bit of a longer stroke, and finishing well beyond the hips, reaching for the knees. Keep the hands pulling central, under the body. Keep them, imagine you're in the pool, you've got that lane to yourself, and you're pulling yourself along the black line. Perfect symmetry between the left and the right arm, the same power, the same speed, the same angles. And that's going to keep you, if the stroke was perfectly balanced, you could do a length without even opening your eyes. And I wouldn't recommend that, but that's sort of what you're hoping for. You see a really good swimmer in open water, they'll be sighting every 10, every 12, not every 4 or 5, because they just don't need it really. Good work, everyone. Last minute, last minute. Get the hips involved. Imagine you've got that nice flutter kick helping project through the body, driving the hips from side to side. If you need some work on your legs, you can always look up a very nice Pilates movement called the swimmer, and it'll get you in a horizontal body position, flutter kick, lifting a straight leg up out of the glutes, get away from the hamstring where you're bending at the knee and causing all sorts of drag and sinking, okay? Last 10 seconds, everyone, last 10 seconds. Don't start fading now. We're still pulling with the forearm, don't forget. In 3, 2, 1. Good stuff. I'm taking my dumbbells this time, and we're going to go for that single arm drill. 1 minute, okay? Use the dumbbell just to help slow it down, a little bit more precision. Get the recovery in, out in front, shoulder comes through towards the chin, as long as the head is still. One of the hardest skills to acquire is keeping the head still. You see it bumping around, moving so much. And if we do move the head, you can't tell if you're over-rotating. The best thing you can do to stop over-rotating is by keeping the head still. Because if obviously I follow into this position, I can easily overdo it. Okay, keep the head still, and that almost is your block. It will stop you going too far. Good work, everyone, good work. Remember, we're trying to get that forearm in a horizontal position, a little bit of movement through the shoulder to help turn that in, anchor that, and then pull the shoulders through, pull the shoulders through. Shoulder starts high, finishes low, and returns back to that high position. Okay, other side, please, other side. Remember, if we are going to add a little bit of breathing, which is obviously useful because when we're in the water, we will need that. Finish the extension and get the isolated breath in once, twice before you go again. Try not to make it one sloppy movement. Keep them isolated. Good work, everyone. Now, what happens if you breathe under this arm in the water? Depending on how strong your kick is and hip involvement, it can go a little bit messy. If you've got a strong kick, it can work quite well, but it is a lot harder because you haven't got that lead arm out in front to stabilize you, okay? So breathing under the arm will feel like the thing to do because obviously in your full stroke, that is when it happens, but it is not great. It's not great. Okay, dumbbells in the hands. Let's go straight into the surface recovery. We've got our 2-minute swim. 2-minute swim, please. Try to get the hips involved a little bit with this one. Remember, let's take a breath every 3rd stroke. And remember to pivot out of the elbow, not from the shoulder. We don't want to lean on that arm. So breath on 1, 2, 3, back to 1, 2, 3, back to 1. Now, bilateral breathing, all very well in the textbooks, not always ideal in the open water. Okay, it is a great habit to develop when it comes to your training. It restricts and stops the bad habits creeping in, but it is not the only option. Sometimes you might need a little bit more air, so I would perhaps go 2 to the left, and then take my 1, 2, 3 to the other side, and then pick up 2 breaths on the other side. So I'm still getting a balanced measure of air on the left and the right, but I'm just getting a couple of breaths in on one side before switching. If you only ever breathe to one side, there's a good chance you lean on that arm, lean on the arm, and start to push down. You'll come unstuck at some point in an open water event where the waves or the sun will be shining straight in at you, and it would be great if you had that ability, being adaptable, to turn and switch away. Okay, so training, fantastic. Mix it up. Stop the bad habits becoming ingrained. Not necessarily the only option on race day. Okay, are we good? Are we good? Okay, so this last minute, I think that was Karen asking, any kind of tricep focus, Karen, any kind of you could just take your dumbbells and finish in this position. It's your choice of how you want to work the tricep, depending on how much space you've got. This one's not too bad for me, given what I've got available. If you've got space for a narrow a narrow dip, okay, you could be sitting on the stairs and just pushing through. That's an option. We were doing a tricep extension here. It's up to you. It's up to you. Whatever works in the space you've got available, okay? You could use your quads to finish at the back of the stroke. You're not going to see this come off the screen. You could use your quads again. That's not a bad one right there. Entirely up to you. Entirely up to you. Fantastic. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. We're out. We're done. Let's just cool it down with that drawing the sword movement. So remember, bring the shoulder, keep the head still. Bring the shoulder through towards the chin. Drawing the sword, take that through, whether you've got your dumbbells in or not. It's just, there's my banister again. Okay, draw the sword from the hip, take it through to the back of the neck. 30 seconds on one side, switch through, 30 seconds on the other. This one takes a bit of coordination and practice. It's outlined step by step in the Dryland article I sent out today. It's a great prehab exercise to stop the injuries from coming. And trust me, you do want to look after your shoulders. It's an amazing joint, capable of such a wide range of motion, but when it goes wrong, it is really quite tricky to put it back together again. So have a look at that document. Think about looking after your shoulders. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 30 minutes. We are done. Wednesday, it will be a different session. Friday, there will be different sessions. It's not always going to be the same thing. Friday, we practiced this just to kind of see because we were new to Zoom. But Wednesday, Friday, they will start to change. We'll do maybe something a little bit more speed work, maybe a little bit more endurance, maybe a little more power. Mondays, nice mix of technical endurance, okay? Enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you all soon. Thanks. If you can email me rather than talk it through for any feedback or comments, or if you need clarifying, that would be amazing. Have a good evening. Well done.
Well done, everyone.